Hey Raiders fans, welcome back to the channel with more exclusive coverage and the latest buzz surrounding our Las Vegas Raiders. The season has been full of ups and downs, and every rumor, every potential move sparks waves of debate across Raider Nation. Today, there's one topic making a lot of noise out there, one that caught fans completely off guard. It all started when Shiloh Sanders made comments about wanting to join the Silver and Black, and immediately, the internet lit up. Fans were tagging, messaging, and asking nonstop whether the Raiders should even consider bringing him in. And let's be real here. As much as everyone loves a good story, the idea of signing Shiloh Sanders doesn't make any sense at all for this team. Not now. Not in this situation. Not with what this organization is trying to build moving forward. Look, everyone understands the Raiders need help in the secondary. The defense has struggled, and the back end of that defense has been one of the weakest spots in recent years. But there's a big difference between filling a need and just signing a name that makes headlines. When you start evaluating talent at the NFL level, you can't make emotional decisions or fall into the hype of a recognizable last name. Shiloh might be part of a famous football family, and there's no doubt his father Dion is one of the greatest to ever play the game, and his brother Shadur has the talent to make it to the league. But Shiloh? He hasn't shown the same level of ability or discipline to prove he can compete at the professional level. Think about it. The Raiders' front office has done its homework. They've looked into the Sanders brothers thoroughly. This organization knows what they're looking for in a player: discipline, consistency, leadership, and football IQ. Shiloh has bounced around and hasn't shown he can handle that kind of responsibility on or off the field. His time with Tampa Bay didn't leave much of an impression. If the team that once had him on their practice squad decided to move on, why would the Raiders suddenly believe he's the answer to their defensive struggles? It just doesn't add up. And it's not just about performance. The Raiders have been making a conscious effort to rebuild their locker room culture, focusing on chemistry and focus. The last thing this organization needs is another distraction, another personality that draws attention for all the wrong reasons. Reports from Big 12 media days painted Shiloh as someone who struggled to show professionalism and respect during interviews. Stories came out about him dismissing questions, saying he didn't care about college football anymore because he was an NFL player now. That's not the attitude you want in a locker room that's trying to find its identity. Every time a player comes to Las Vegas, the spotlight grows brighter. This is one of the most scrutinized franchises in all of football. Every move, every quote, every sideline reaction gets magnified. Bringing in a player who already seems drawn to the attention and social media chaos would only make things worse. The Raiders don't need drama. They need results. They need players willing to grind in silence, earn their spot, and prove their worth on Sundays. And let's be honest, Shiloh Sanders hasn't done that. It's easy to see why his name generates interest. The Sanders family has turned into a brand. They dominate headlines in college football. They create moments that get clicks, views, and viral posts. But the NFL doesn't care about celebrity status. It's about production. It's about being able to tackle, to cover, to read an offense, to show up in big moments. And so far, Shiloh has shown flashes of energy and personality, but not the consistent level of play that proves he belongs in this league. The Raiders can't afford to take a flyer on someone who brings more attention off the field than impact on it. We all know how this team has battled inconsistency for years. Every decision right now matters. Every roster move needs to push the team closer to stability. Signing someone who's still figuring out his identity as a professional athlete isn't a risk worth taking. The Raiders have solid pieces developing. They have guys grinding in practice, waiting for their moment to shine. Why disrupt that process for a name that only adds outside noise? And let's not ignore how adding Shiloh could affect the locker room dynamic. You bring in someone tied to one of the most talked about families in football, and immediately, every conversation shifts. It's not about the Raiders anymore. It's about the Sanders brand. Suddenly, the focus drifts away from game preparation to social media moments. That's not what this franchise needs, especially with a 2-5 record and so much work still to be done. If we're being completely real, signing Shiloh wouldn't help the Raiders on the field. It would only create headlines and headlines don't win games. Discipline, teamwork, and execution do. Raiders fans have been through too many false promises and flashy distractions. They've seen this story before. Names that sound exciting but bring little impact when it's time to perform. This team doesn't need another one of those experiments. They need reliable, disciplined players who can be trusted to execute on game day. When you look back at what's been said about Shiloh's behavior, his constant push for attention, his off-field antics, dressing up like his brother for jokes, chasing clout at public events, it paints a picture of a young man who's more focused on being noticed than improving as a football player. And that's fine for social media, but it doesn't fit into what the Raiders are building. The focus needs to be on football, not fame. The Raiders fan base is passionate, loyal, and hungry for progress. They've been patient through rebuilds and coaching changes. What they want to see now are players who care about representing the silver and black with pride. They want guys who show up, put in the work, and deliver results on Sundays. Bringing in someone who's chasing the spotlight instead of the playbook doesn't move this team forward. It sends it backward. There's also the bigger picture to think about. Signing Shiloh could open a Pandora's box of unnecessary pressure and speculation. The moment he steps into the building, the conversation would shift toward his brother Shedeur and his father Dion. Every media outlet would be asking when or if Shedeur might join him, turning what should be a football discussion into a reality show. The Raiders don't need that circus. They need focus, structure, and stability. This team already has enough challenges to overcome without adding another layer of distraction. When you consider the full picture, performance, maturity, locker room fit, and media implications, it's clear that signing Shiloh Sanders would be a major mistake. There's no upside that outweighs the potential downside. The Raiders need to keep their eyes on building a disciplined, tough-minded roster that reflects the heart of Raider Nation. Shiloh doesn't fit that mold right now. Maybe down the road, if he proves himself, if he grows as a player and a person, the conversation can change. But for now, the Raiders have to be smarter with their decisions. Every move counts, and this one just doesn't make sense. And when you think about it, the timing could not be worse for something like this. The Raiders are coming off a bye, trying to reset their season, and the focus has to stay on football, on fixing the things that have gone wrong in the first half of the year. You have a defense that's been inconsistent, an offense still trying to find rhythm, and a coaching staff looking for players who can contribute right now. This is not the moment to entertain media distractions or side stories. The team needs reinforcements who can step onto the field, understand the system, and help win games. Not someone whose arrival would turn every press conference into a headline circus. When you hear fans say the team needs a safety, they're absolutely right. The position still lacks depth and consistency. But the solution isn't just signing the next available name. It's about finding the right fit, the player who understands the commitment it takes to represent this franchise. Shiloh Sanders doesn't check those boxes. His resume doesn't show growth or progression. It shows short stints, unfulfilled potential, and a pattern of chasing attention more than chasing improvement. You can have charisma and confidence. Every great player does, but without production, those qualities don't mean anything. Raiders fans deserve more than another player who wants to be in the spotlight for the wrong reasons. This team has spent too long fighting against that image, trying to rebuild its reputation after years of instability. The focus under this regime has been accountability and professionalism. Bringing in a personality like Shiloh's would undercut that effort and send the wrong message to the locker room. The Raiders are not a place for publicity stunts or self-promotion. They're trying to become a disciplined football team again. It's also important to remember that being a Raider means embracing a culture, toughness, grit, unity, and pride in wearing the silver and black. Those qualities don't show up on highlight reels or Instagram videos. They show up in film study, in extra reps at practice, in moments where effort speaks louder than words. And when you look at how Shiloh has carried himself recently, it's hard to see those traits. Dressing up as his brother for laughs, chasing celebrities for attention, and constantly trying to keep his name trending. None of that helps a football team. It's entertainment, not leadership. Imagine how that would play out inside the Raiders' locker room. Veterans who have sacrificed and fought to earn their place wouldn't respond well to a player walking in with that kind of energy. It would create tension, unnecessary pressure, and distraction. The organization has worked hard to bring in leaders who set a professional tone, guys who want to compete, not make headlines. Adding someone whose focus seems to be elsewhere would only derail that progress. And let's be honest, even if Shiloh were to arrive and somehow surprise everyone, the expectations around him would be unfair. The Sanders name comes with enormous pressure, and the moment he stepped onto the field, every mistake would be magnified. Every missed tackle, every blown coverage, every sideline comment would turn into a talking point. Instead of helping the team, it would invite more scrutiny and criticism. That's not what this locker room needs right now. The other layer to this conversation is the ripple effect it would have across the league. Bringing in Shiloh automatically reignites the debate about his brother Shadur, who's expected to enter the draft soon. Suddenly, the Raiders become part of that media whirlwind. Every question turning to whether Shadur might follow, whether Dion would show up at games, whether the team is trying to cash in on the Sanders brand. It's not about football anymore. It becomes a storyline. And the Raiders, more than most franchises, know what happens when the story becomes bigger than the team. It never ends well. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of what if. The idea of adding a recognizable name always feels like a quick fix, something that could spark attention, maybe even boost morale. But history shows that those moves rarely work. The Raiders don't need a name. They need production. They need a safety who can read offenses, tackle in space, and bring physicality to the secondary. They need someone who shows up to work, not someone who shows up to perform. Lonnie Johnson Jr., for example, might not be a superstar, but he fits what the Raiders are building, a player who grinds, stays professional, and contributes on special teams. That's the kind of presence you want in a locker room. He's not chasing fame. He's chasing improvement. And when you compare that with what Shiloh has brought to the table, the difference is night and day. One is about effort and contribution, the other about image and noise. This team has to stay focused on a long-term vision. The fan base has waited too long for real progress, and right now, the path forward depends on discipline and smarter decisions. Signing Shiloh Sanders would be the opposite of that. It would signal desperation, not strategy. It would say that attention matters more than results, and that's not what this organization stands for anymore. The Raiders' future depends on making football decisions, not marketing ones. This franchise doesn't need another headline. It needs a culture shift that sticks. It needs players who represent the toughness that built this organization decades ago. Men who play hard, stay humble, and let their game speak for them. Shiloh doesn't bring that energy right now. Maybe someday, with growth and maturity, he'll find that focus. But at this point, bringing him in would be nothing but a step backward. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could be one of the most shocking moves of the NFL season, whispers around the league have finally turned into reality. The Las Vegas Raiders have reportedly struck a deal to bring MYLES GARRETT to Sin City. While the news is still making waves, sources suggest that the trade with the Cleveland Browns is officially confirmed, though details of the exchange remain shrouded in secrecy. For weeks, fans and analysts alike speculated on Garrett's future, with trade rumors swirling amid contract debates and team strategy shifts. Many assumed he might stay in Cleveland, where he has become a cornerstone of the Browns' defense, known for his explosive pass-rushing ability and relentless motor on the field. However, the Raiders' aggressive pursuit seems to have paid off, signaling their intent to make a statement in the AFC West. League insiders describe the atmosphere around the Raiders' headquarters as electric. Team executives, scouts, and coaching staff are said to be buzzing with anticipation, eager to integrate one of the league's most feared defensive ends into their lineup. While the exact compensation Cleveland received has not been disclosed, speculation ranges from high draft picks to key players, highlighting the magnitude of this blockbuster move. MYLES GARRETT, a three-time Pro Bowler and former NFL Defensive Player of the Year, brings a mix of skill, intensity, and star power that could immediately elevate Las Vegas' defensive front. If the Raiders brass has ambitions of finally breaking through in a division dominated by the Kansas City Chiefs, this signing could be the spark they've been chasing for years. Fans have taken to social media in droves, some celebrating the acquisition, while others worry about the Browns' defensive prospects heading into the next season. Though official press conferences are expected in the coming days, the chatter is already deafening. Could Garrett's arrival mark the start of a new era for Las Vegas? Or is this just another tantalizing NFL rumor? One thing is certain. The league will be watching every snap, every sack, and every highlight reel with renewed intensity. The Raiders' gamble, bold as it is, could redefine the balance of power in the AFC or ignite a rivalry that will dominate headlines for months to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.